please, please vote. Get your friends to vote. That sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? Get your friends to vote. No, I'm serious. Think about somebody in your head right now while we're talking who you're not sure is going to vote, but if they did, they would probably vote Harris. And talk to them and explain to them the importance, okay? Because what I'm going to show you here exemplifies a horrifying, frightening, and potentially devastating prospect if we don't. And you're probably thinking, oh, this is Trump related, right? Well, in a sense, it is. But it actually is a reminder that we talk a bunch about Trump. I think that some people, and I've talked to people who forget the importance of down ballot races as well. And they forget that the only way we're going to oust from our political discussion this detrimental MAGA ideology is by first ousting it from the Republican Party, which means first we have to reject the Republican Party because MAGA is consuming it right now. And what you'll see in this video is is the sights and sounds of a world where MAGA is successful in November in the House, in the White House, and in the Senate. And envisioning that, think about that as we go through this. It should horrify you enough to motivate yourself to talk to other people about the importance of voting, not just against Trump. That's important. That's number one important. But if they're in Arizona, for example, they need to vote against Kari Lake. If they're in Wisconsin, they need to vote for Tammy Baldwin. We could go down the list.
Hey Arizona, hey America, I'm here with one of the greatest fighters in our whole country, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you so much, everyone. Listen, I need your help. I'm asking you a big favor. I need you to pitch in and help my dear friend, Kari Lake. I need her in Washington, D.C., fighting alongside me. We're going to help President Trump. We've got terrible problems in America, and I know you know it.
I'm looking at two of them.
The radical Democrats have ripped our borders wide open. There's all kinds of people in our country. We have inflation, groceries are unaffordable, gas is unaffordable, and we have a lot of work to do to drain the swamp. So pitch in, help my good friend Kari Lake. We're going to be an awesome team in Washington. And
echo, let it echo in your mind. We're going to be a great team in Washington. We're going to be a great team in Washington. Think about this. Think about it. MAGA in the Senate in the form of Kari Lake. One of the most famous. She would instantly be one of the most famous senators. Most prominent. She would be interviewed the most. We'd be hearing from Senator Kari Lake constantly. And then we're going to have Marjorie in the House, unfortunately, most likely based on her election. But Marjorie in the House, one of the most prominent voices. We've been dealing with that for a while. But it's a triple threat. Then you would have Trump in the White House if we don't prevent a MAGA wave. Nay, if we don't facilitate a blue wave. Do you want that? Does that not disturb you? The idea of this sort of political representation for years to come?
let's get her in the Senate.
We got big problems, but we have the solutions to fix them. And we did America First Solutions. Thank you so much for your support. Go to karilake.com and let's make Arizona and America great again.
So I have an interview with Kari Lake to also include in this segment, but the reason I play that for you is because I was just scrolling. There's this thing that's really annoying. If you do what I do, which is prepping for the show, I have to consume a bunch of right-wing content, right? Searching up videos, looking at what different people are saying. And that makes my algorithms very confused as to what I want. And so it suggests me a lot of right-wing content just when I'm looking for normal things to watch. And that means that I get advertised to a lot by the Kari Lakes of the world. And Kari Lake, she posted that ad or was advertising that ad, which, by the way, isn't that sort of a bad strategy to include Marjorie Taylor Greene in an ad? I don't feel like she's going to win over the types of swing voters you would need, but maybe just for donations she'd be good from the hardcore MAGA people. I don't know. But what popped in my head when I saw them together was, imagine Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kari Lake. That is horrifying. And the dishonesty you're going to see is also horrifying in this next video, which is Kari Lake on Newsmax.
Kamala Harris has left it up to people like
Kamala is how you pronounce her name.
Like Congressman Eric Swalwell to defend her. And here's Swalwell talking about what Kamala Harris is going to do to our country.
She's also, been going across the country, filling arenas and talking about what she's going to do on the rights that were robbed for women when Roe was taken away, the border crisis that she's going to solve, that her economic policy won't benefit billionaires, but it will benefit hardworking Americans. As she calls it, it's working for working people. She's stopping, before going on stage and talking to reporters, and I expect more of that as we go into the convention on Monday.
So no talking to reporters. Yes, she has been out there, but it's the same thing we've seen every single day from Kamala Harris, Kari. It's the same.
Oh, you do know how to pronounce it. Did he hear me somehow through this video, through time? Wow.
Canned speech. And I would like to think that the legacy media is going to get fed up with this, but I'm not optimistic.
I would hope they would start asking some tough questions. We deserve to know answers to some of these tough questions. They grill President Trump, and he's fine with it. They grill him. They're unfair to him. He's okay with it. But they haven't asked her any tough questions. It doesn't surprise me she's going to Eric Swalwell, asking him to bail her out. He's obviously somebody who had an affair with a Chinese spy.
False. Someone fundraising for multiple different politicians who is suspected to be a Chinese spy was outed when she was trying to get close to Eric Swalwell. He was notified by the FBI. Boom. Cut ties with her.
Looking at Joe Biden administration is very cozy with the CCP, and we're watching as they're willing to ship every single job we have in America overseas to places like China.
China has not been as, as devastated competitively by us in quite some time, actually. Under Biden, we're seeing for the first time in a long time us dominate in the strides we're making compared to them.
And so this is an America Last agenda, and they know they can't win with that America Last agenda. So right now she's trying to do an extreme makeover and trying to paint herself as somebody that she's not. She's not for not taxing tips. If she was for not taxing tips, then why hasn't she already done that? Last I heard, they are the team that's in power right now. They've done nothing to help the American people. All they've done is hurt the American people. And that's why on November 5th, the American people are going to rise up and show up in numbers like we've never seen before to vote for President Donald J. Trump and to vote for Kari Lake for U.S. Senate here in Arizona.
Woo! Woo! So, by the way, average monthly job growth during the presidency, Trump versus Biden. And I know what you're thinking. Kari's already getting ready, if she were to be watching this, to type an angry comment, because she definitely does that sometimes. No, a MAGA person might be upset. Oh, I bet you're going to say that all the jobs that were lost under Trump because of the pandemic were his fault. To which I will respond, no, we'll compare excluding the pandemic for both presidents, but you're also in need of a little bit of correction in your thinking because you like to not take into consideration Trump's mishandling of the pandemic crisis when you judge his presidency, but you say all the issues like supply chain problems that led to inflation that were carried over into Biden's administration and that he had to solve the pandemic crisis there should be taken into consideration in all the metrics. So be consistent first, and then join us for the conversation where we'll exclude the pandemic. You can see here that the lines, the bars that are illustrated with diagonal lines, that's if you were to include the pandemic era. If you exclude it, still Biden has a stronger record on jobs. So no, we're not shipping them off to China, but instead creating so many we don't know what to do with. Every day we do a whole show that you can get access to if you're a member by clicking the join button below. And then if you're thinking, I don't want to go that far, but you want to support the work in a free way, you can do that by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Back to the video. Then you have this as well.
Here to discuss this now is Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake. Great to see you, Kari.
It's good to be with you. I'm here in beautiful Apache County. Say hello. We are in.
Well, I love it. We have multiple
in
guests.
Arizona. Yes, we do. We're on the campaign trail, as you know, for U.S. Senate here in Arizona. And we're on Navajo Nation with just amazing people tonight. And we wanted to come on and talk to everybody around the country and tell them everything's good in Arizona and the people are ready to get out and vote and make a big, huge change in the direction we're going.
Wait, everything's good in Arizona? Well, then... okay, whatever. You get the point.
We all look very comfortable considering it's the middle of summer in Arizona and you're outside. But, Kari, you know the former president better than most. And the person we heard on that call last night with Elon Musk, that's the real Donald Trump. That's the person you get when the cameras and the microphones are not around. And it doesn't look like an authentic version of Kamala Harris exists.
Oh,
you're right. It doesn't exist because there's no one by that pronunciation. I don't know who that is. It's like when Trump referred to Kamala as Camila. Maybe Camila is to blame for inflation. Maybe Camila is to blame for rising crime, even though crime is plummeting. Maybe Camila is, but that's not who you're running against. No one named Camila is in this race, so I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't know. I mean, depending on where she shows up, we don't know what personality, who she's going to be. She's even changing her policies because she knows that when she shows up, the people don't want those dead-end Democrat policies. So she's a real phony, to be honest. And I'm not trying to be mean and call names, but that's just what we're seeing with President Trump. He's authentic. He's always been that New Yorker, that businessman, and the person who loves and cares about his family and his country. And that's what we see every time he shows up. Now, some people think he's a little too brash. Frankly, I think we need strong and brash right now. We're in a world of hurt. The world's a dangerous place, and we need strength, and we always get that with President Trump.
So, this is kind of funny. Can you split screen again, Jade? They always do this, which is fine with me, but all the B-roll they show on screen while they're talking about Kamala Harris is of her laughing because they think that's something to mock her for. Guys, you're campaigning for her. It's so weird. You think you're running against her, but all these segments about her laugh and about how she hugged somebody and about these photos, it's only helping because even with the pain that is very real, that often people like Kari Lake try to exploit, but then don't actually have good solutions to, it does exist. But even with that, people want hope. They want joy. And the angry, dystopian, disturbing, destructive, despicable, delusional, devastating vision that is put forward by Trump, an America where retribution is inflicted on his political opponents, a world where presidents are above the law, can act in any ways they want. And I know MAGA, you probably think, oh, that's such an exaggeration. Really? He celebrated an immunity decision that he facilitated, which was putting the president above criminal prosecution for their official acts. That's not what people want, at least the majority. So make fun of her for smiling all you want. But Kari Lake saying she's a phony, she shows up in one place and she's different than showing up in a different place. That's a talking point they've been popularizing since Trump said that she quote unquote turned black. And so I guess because she dares to talk about both parts of her identity, or I should say many parts of her identity, one category of that being her biracial identity, she's a chameleon to them. It's unfortunate. It really, really is. Now, what they mean when they're saying that, let me just be transparent and say she would refute that or attempt to by saying, no, I mean, not that. Even though that's the only time we start making the argument in defense of Trump, even though he was saying something about a race, not anything else. But you would say it's other stuff, like her having a different accent sometimes when she's talking to people is their other attack. I don't even know how to engage with that one. But another one would be she changed some policy positions. If she wants to be running a campaign that she feels and then governing that she feels is unifying for the country, and that means a few policies are adjusted, I don't have any problem with that. And by the way, on the tax on tips things I talked about on the members only show, I actually, because I think it would incentivize pushing us further in the direction of making workers reliant on tips instead of just raising base wages. I actually am not super in favor of that no tax on tips policy, but now Trump and Harris are both touting it. So there it is, Kari Lake being very dishonest, wanting America to vote in a Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kari Lake, Trump trifecta. If that's something that you don't like the idea of, if it rattles you to the bone like it does me, then I would suggest you donate to whichever campaign is important to you down ballot, right? But then on the national level, Harris, by clicking the link in the description of this video.